Okay, so this is about Respect Me. Rather than me tell you about it, I thought we'd watch a cheeky video. Is that okay? Yes. Brilliant, let's do that. We are Respect Me.
Respect Me.
And this
is why we do
what we do.
Back in 2011, I was asked to deliver a lesson on sex and relationships.
Uh-oh.
Sex.
Sex.
And relationships.
I'd been doing lessons in school for 15 years, so I thought, no biggie, nice challenge. But I was overwhelmed with the response.
Loads of questions. Kids loved it.
Teachers too.
That was awesome.
Will you do it again?
But the truth is, this is what kids want to talk about.
Need to talk about.
Have to talk about.
So we set up a team offering lessons for years 7 through 11 on 5 key topics.
Self-esteem.
Bullying.
Sex and relationships. Sexting.
And abuse.
The way we do this is unique.
It's factual. It's really honest. We share our own stories.
High energy.
Engaging.
Clips and media.
Games and discussion.
And of course, we're sensitive to the year groups involved.
Age-appropriate themes.
Carefully chosen to make maximum impact. Chance to talk afterwards.
Make connections.
Develop confidence.
A growing number of schools ask us to come back every year.
It's called Project 5. So everyone in the school goes through the whole programme once.
That's powerful.
It's all about seeing young people informed,
equipped,
empowered,
encouraged, able to make positive choices.
Set free.
And this
is why we do
what we do.
Check us out online at respectme.co.uk.
Or get in touch to get the ball rolling.
We are Respect Me.
Respect me.
Respect me.
Respect me.
Respect me.
Respect me!
Okay, thank you. Had a little bit of a round of applause. Was there a little cheeky round of applause? Oh, you didn't have to. Okay, so we do have a stand downstairs. If you want to find out more about practically how we do our schools work, then do come and see us in the breaks. But this is quite a challenging day today, isn't it, when we look at abusive behaviour, particularly towards women. And we do have one of our lessons, which is entitled Abuse. We look a lot at self-harm, but we do look at abuse in relationships. And when you break it down, it's a destructive act towards someone that can cause mental and or physical damage. And most abuse can leave a person feeling vulnerable. Obviously, we know it's so much more than that, but that's where it starts. And abusive behaviour comes in so many different forms. 3 of the top ones that we probably are more aware of is the emotional, the humiliating, the putting down, the threatening, the blackmail. The physical, where someone's actually physically hit or slapped or kicked or abused in that way. And the sexual abuse, when people are forced to do things that they simply don't want to do. Consent is not given. So I thought I'd share a story with you, a personal story. We do this a lot in our lessons so that you can understand where maybe I'm coming from. So I'm a good old Essex girl. Shut up. And when I was at school, I really liked sport. Are any of you sporty here? Oh, that's disgraceful. 3 lads in the front. Get down that gym. And another one there. I was actually a hockey player. I loved hockey. I played for my school. I played for Redbridge and Ilford. I even played for my county. Check me out. Very impressed. And I loved hockey. And I belonged to this little club, Redbridge and Ilford. It's quite small. It was like a family. And I made up this rule. I don't know why or when I made up the rule, but I made up the rule that I would never date anybody from my hockey club. And probably the reason I made up that rule was because we were this family. I thought if we did date and then it went sour and we broke up, that's just going to cause friction. It's just going to be awkwardness. I just love this safe haven where we're all mates having a good laugh, play a hockey game, go back, have a drink at the end of the day, have a bit of a laugh and go home. And so that was just the rule I had. Anyway, one night all us girls were training down on the AstroTurf and the lads came down to check us out. And they were like cheering us on and encouraging us. And there was this new guy there. Now, I don't know if you've ever been checked out before, but you feel like those eyeballs are burning in the back of your head. And this new guy was obviously checking me out because I am so beautiful, as you know. And anyway, I was feeling a bit awkward. Anyway, at the end of the training session, he came over and he introduced himself and said, "Hi." And straight away he said, "So I want to take you out on a date. So next Saturday, yeah?" I thought, wow, he's cheeky, but it is Essex. And I said, well, funny you should say that, but I have this kind of rule that I don't date hockey players from our club. And he goes, well, I don't belong to your club, do I? I went, oh, I can't get out of that one. So I said, what, Saturday? Yeah, 8 o'clock I'll pick you up from the clubhouse. I thought, okay, let's do it. And I thought he was a bit cheeky, a bit charming, and he was good looking, so I thought, what the heck, let's go for it. So Saturday comes, we go and play our usual game, and we come back to the club, we get showered, get changed. It's only like 7 o'clock, so I thought, that's cool, we can have an hour with the girls, have a bit of a drink, get Dutch courage and all that. So we're having a drink, and 8 o'clock comes, and he's not there. 8:15, he's still, this is just rude, isn't it? He's still not there. 8:30, this is beyond rude. Like, I'm thinking he's standing me up. I'm also not only just a bit peed off, I'm a little bit embarrassed. My girlfriends are like, forget him, we'll just have a girly night, let's get some more beers in. Because we're Essex girls, we don't drink wine, we like to do pints of beer. And so at 8 o'clock, he has the cheek, at 9 o'clock, trying to get the times right, an hour later, he turns up. He's a bit cheeky, isn't he? And everything in me wanted to be angry and throw chairs at him and all that sort of stuff. But he came suited and booted, car keys in one hand, bunch of flowers in the other. Such a charmer. What's he like? I just went weak at the knees. I was like, where are we going? He goes, well, I've booked this restaurant. I'm going to drive you. And I just didn't even say anything about him being an hour late. So we go out for this meal. Chivalry, I mean, you don't see a lot of it these days, but he actually had it. He opened the door, let me in the car, took me out, pulled my chair out, put the napkin on my knee. Thought, wow, I like this guy. You've got to remember, I've had 2 hours of drinking, so obviously I was thinking more than it really was. And so he buys a bottle of wine and he pours me out a glass, but he's not having a drink because he's driving. Now that doesn't happen in Essex. You at least have your 2 units when you're going out. But I noticed that he didn't even have 1 unit, and every time I had a sip, he was topping up my glass. Kind of a little bit awkward, really. It's like, give me my glass back. So I've had 2 hours of drinking beer, now I've drunk a whole bottle of wine, have a lovely evening, he drives me home. And he walks me to the door because he's such a gentleman. So at the door he said, oh, can I come in? I said, look, we've already had this conversation, you're not coming in tonight. It's first date, my mum and dad are away, rules are no men in the house when the parents aren't in. But he's persuading me, I've had too much to drink, before I know it, I've let him in. We're in the living room, we're kissing, and then we're cuddling on the sofa. And he decides he wants a bit more. So he's pushing it a bit further physically, and I'm saying, no, I'm not ready, I don't want to. I say no 4 times, but he decides he's going to get what he wants. And that wasn't a great moment for me. The next morning I wake up, I'm a little bit confused, I'm hungover, I've had too much to drink, I'm feeling a bit sick. And then the memories of the night before are clouding my judgment and my decisions. And then suddenly I realise I'm meant to be at the hockey club because I have signed up for a mixed game, which he will be playing in. And I don't want to let the girls down because I know there are no reserves. So I pull myself together, I get in my car, drive down to the hockey club. And so it was a bit strange, the reception that I got, because everybody was standing at the window looking at me as I walked up the pathway. All the guys were pointing at me and laughing. And I walked through the door and my friend just grabs me and takes me into the changing room. She says, Emma, just tell me it didn't happen. And I said, what are you talking about? Well, he said he got your knickers off. Just tell me it didn't happen. And in the panic, I just lied. I said, of course it didn't happen. She goes, thank God for that. Because he just won 20 quid in a bet over that and he's in there with his girlfriend. So, still a little bit emotional about it. It happened a long, long time ago. But the problem is, at that time, I wasn't taught about this stuff. I wasn't taught, who do you talk to? What do you do about it? My initial response was hide it, lie about it, don't talk to anyone. Of course, you're part of the problem, Emma, because you were drinking too much and you were drunk. And I was victim blaming myself in that situation. You see, drinking is not a crime. When you're over 18, which I was, it was not a crime, but a rape is. And I should have gone to the police about that, but I was too scared and I didn't know who to talk to. If anyone is in this room and has had a similar experience, I want to just say it's not your fault. It's really important that you know that if anyone ever abuses you or takes something that you've not given consent to, it is not your fault. And even if you've never talked about it to this day, find someone today to talk about it. Find someone that you trust, an adult that you can trust, that you can talk and pray about it. The foundational scripture for Respect Me is Jeremiah 29. It's a famous one. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. That guy hurt me. There are people out there that will hurt you. That's just the reality of the life that we live in. But God has no plans to hurt you. He has plans to prosper you, to give you hope in the future. Yes. I may not have had anyone to speak to that I felt that I could speak to at that time. But I did have a faith because my parents had brought me up as Christians. And I had a God, the creator of this universe, the big G, that I could turn to. And I spoke with him and he helped me through that situation. And he told me that actually that wasn't a great situation, but actually if I learned to trust God, he had an awesome future for me.
Yeah, right.
And I love that scripture where God can use all things for the good of those who love him. Yeah. And I love the privilege that I get to share my stories, and I've got too many, unfortunately, as an Essex girl, get to share my stories in schools to hopefully open up that can of worms, take out a Pandora's box, take it out of that dark secret place and just say, let's talk about this stuff. Let's talk about this stuff and make good choices. There's a London-based sexual health referral unit that did a survey, and they came out some shocking statistics. 31% of young men would try and have sex with someone who didn't want to. 1 in 20 would try and have sex with someone who's asleep. It's a bit crazy. And 23% of men didn't think that having sex with a girl who said no was rape. That's shocking, isn't it? And actually, back in the day, the legal system said that you had to prove that the girl said no. And obviously, rape in court of law can only be done by a guy because you actually have to have a penis. Just a little bit of information there. So that's why they say girls and boys. You had to prove that they said no. But then they suddenly realised that actually in that situation, girls probably are so fearful that they can't even speak. So just because they can't say no, does that mean it's okay? And so thankfully they've turned it around, and now you have to have an enthusiastic yes. You have to know. So you can't say, look at the ground and be shaking and say, yeah, okay. It's got to be, yeah, I'm up for this. Yeah, we've talked about it. We know our limits. We know what we're agreeing to. And that comes out of relationship. So we can't be having these yeses on a one-night stand when you're drunk, because when you're drunk, you can't even legally give consent. And how many times does that happen in the nightclubs in the UK? 40% of girls between 13 and 17 have been coerced into unwanted sexual acts. 1 in 16 have been raped. In the UK, there's around 85,000 women a year who are victims of rape, and 90% of them know the perpetrators. So it's situations like mine, you've gone out on a date. Maybe it's a boyfriend or a husband that you've been with for years. You still have the right to say no. When you look at university, I don't know if you've been through university or if you've got children going to university, it's quite a scary time, and you find out that 80% of university students are drinking, 40% of them are binge drinkers. And when you see the statistics that like nearly 2,000 deaths occur because of drinking, 600 are injured, 690,000 are assaulted, 97,000 of victims of people that are drinking are actual victims of sexual assault and rape because of alcohol. This is an issue. And so we do a lot of talk about drinking. I'm going to wrap it up now, but a minute. These TED Red Talks are very short, aren't they? But I wanted just to give you the heart of where we're coming from. My heart and passion is for young men and young women to know their true identity. If a girl or boy walks out of any of our lessons and do not know who they are in God's eyes, we have failed. Our job is to inspire, equip, empower, enable young people to make good choices. Not just good choices, but God choices. And when they can understand their true identity, when they can understand their true worth, their value, hopefully they can learn to respect themselves and value themselves in the choices that they're making for themselves, but also for the people in their relationships as well. This world would be a different place if we really grabbed hold of our true God-given identity, so that we can actually reach our true God-given potential in life. I'm passionate about young and old knowing their true identity. I'll talk about it all day, but my time is up. 2-1. Thank you very much for listening. Emma Owen, respect me.